Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live this evening. My name's Jenny McCormack and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire even, which is in the centre of the UK. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're joining me live, do say hi, let me know that you're watching. It's always nice to know who is joining us. Obviously you don't have to add any comments or anything, just nice to know that you're here. If you're watching on catch up, whether that's on Facebook or whether that is on YouTube, if you have any queries or questions on what I've shown you, hi Tracy, then just pop them in the comment section. I monitor that on a regular basis, and then I can get back to you and answer any questions that you may have. So, as you will know, if you've been following me last week, we've been working with this lovely stamp set called Tidings and Trimmings, which actually features in our annual catalogue. So we have 3 catalogues per year. For anybody who's not aware, we have this, which is our current annual catalogue, which is approximately 180 pages, and it has all of the products that I use during the year. So that includes stamp sets, it includes papers, it includes our adhesives, our cut and emboss machine, our dies, ribbons, accessories, coordinating paper. So basically this is our go-to catalogue, and this runs every year. This one from last year runs from the beginning of May till the end of April 2022. And then in May of this year, they will be, sorry, that's reflecting, there'll be a new catalogue. There we go. And then, so this is designed for absolute beginners right the way through to experienced crafters. So we have everything you might need, you know, even from basic starting up, an ink pad, a glue and a block. The kits that we have for our beginner crafters aren't featured in here because the kits will vary throughout the year. So this is something different that Stampin' Up have introduced, which is different kits throughout the year rather than a few kits in each catalogue. This is great for you as customers because it means you get a wider choice throughout the year. Hi Kerry, thanks for joining us. Good morning to you in Australia. So it does mention the kits right at the beginning. It has the colour and the coordination, which we're well known for, and then it has a series of kits, and there is a separate link to the kits promotion, and you can find that from the website. And also if you Google Stampin' Up kits Jemini crafts, you'll find them that way as well. And these kits are perfect for beginners but also for experienced crafters, because you can do your own thing with the kit or you can follow it exactly as is. And a lot of them are completely inclusive, ready to go. So they may include stamp sets, a stamp pad, a block, and the stamps itself, as I said, but also the die cuts, the papers and the cardstock and the envelopes. So everything there that you need to get up and running. They also make a perfect Christmas present for anybody interested in crafting, or somebody that you think might like a kit to do over the Christmas period. So this is our annual catalogue, and then alongside this we have 2 mini catalogues, one that runs from January to June and one that runs July to December. They tend to be aimed more towards experienced crafters because they have a lot of die sets and bundles, but there are also beginner stamps in there as well, and obviously they are much more seasonal. So the January to June will incorporate Valentine's, Easter, spring and the early part of the year, and then obviously the catalogue that's just closing now features autumn and winter themes. Okay, so the set that I'm going to use is on page 88 and 89 of our annual catalogue, and this was the card that I did yesterday. So very similar to this one here, which is actually I think it might actually be a box. I can't really tell. I think it is a box, but it's very similar to that. Stampin' Up! I've used the papers on the back of here and some of the die cuts on this one. I just did the stamping of the stars and die cut the 2 layers of stars there. So I thought I would carry on casing the catalogue, and I really like the look of this one here with the red backing. If I just bring it up a little bit closer to the screen, I appreciate you can't see that in detail, but what they've done is they've taken the designer paper, put it straight onto the card, and then added a layer with some of this stamping of the stamps that I haven't yet used. So I thought that would be a perfect way to do another example from this really versatile set. The stars could be used at any time of year, and I think this foliage and everything could as well. You can make this into a really nice birthday card, a thank you card, Mother's Day, Father's Day, any of those really, just changing the sentiment. So let's give that a go. I'm going to leave this at the side. Hopefully if I need it I can refer to it. So we have some coordinating papers for this set. So this is the Christmas Tidings papers, and I've shown you these already, so I'm not going to go through these in detail. I do love the colour choice: Evening Evergreen, Cherry Cobbler, Soft Succulent and Crumb Cake, and a little bit of white. I'm going to take the colours that they've used. So this one here is Cherry Cobbler with almost like a harvest design. It's quite small print, not even sure that you can see that, to be honest, but I'm going to use that onto some white cards. So I'm going to cut that down, and I like to cut, if I'm covering the whole layer, I like to cut this just a millimetre smaller, but you could have a small gap around the edges if you wanted to. I think I might do that just to break it up a little bit. So let me grab a trimmer. So I hope, Tracy, I hope you've had a good day. I have got some die cuts that I'm going to use for the stamping itself. So the normal width of a card here for us in the UK is 10.5 centimetres. So I'm going to cut this to 10 centimetres, just so I have a couple of millimetres border around the edges. And the same thing here, I'm going to cut this to 14.35, and the height of our card is 14.85. Okay, so I've just trimmed that a little bit. There we go. Now I'm not getting any more comments coming up on my screen, so I'm not quite sure why that is. In fact, none at all, so who knows. I'll just put a comment in there, see if it comes up anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to lay this onto here, and then I'm going to stamp. Oh, you're still there. Thank you, Tracy. See, my comment that I've just typed in hasn't even come up. Very odd. So I've got some of these die cut layers, and I think I'm going to use this smaller one. In the sample, they just used a piece of oblong rectangular card, but I'm going to use this one just because I think it looks prettier. So I'm going to pop this layer on, make sure I get it the right way around. So I'm just using our seal for this purpose, like so. Take my glasses off. And I'm just going to feed this on. Now I've cut this with a top fold just for something slightly different. There we go. Okay, so that's my base layer, and then this piece is going to go on the top, and this is the piece I'm going to stamp, and I'm going to pick out the stamps that they've used, which is, they've used these two here, this one with the little dots, and they've used a little star as well. So as you can see, I've not used these ones yet. So there's the dots, and the two lots of leaves do have an infill leaf as well, but also you could fill them in with a pen if you prefer, with a blends pen or something. If I can find two small blocks, I'll mount those up, and I've got a little star here as well. And we've also got, of course, our sentiment. And this is the one that I've probably used the most out of this set, which says, "May your days be merry and bright." Obviously, if you wanted to change this up for a birthday card, just change the sentiment, but you could keep all the stamps the same, just change the colours out if you didn't want Christmas colours. Okay. Good evening, Scott. And Kerry's still here too. How bizarre. Must be something of the way that I've opened this on my phone. Who knows? Okay, let's give it a go. So this is what I'm going to stamp on, and this layer is going to go onto my card. And let's grab these. So I've got two lots of leaves, and I've got the dots and a star. And the colours we've got, which match the colours of the paper, is Crumb Cake, which they've used for the star, Evening Evergreen for the foliage, and Real Red. Now they would have used, I suspect, Cherry Cobbler, but I know my Cherry Cobbler ink is not particularly, not very strong. It needs a bit of re-inking. Another one of those jobs that I need to do. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in this piece here to protect my work surface. Let's have a little tidy up here. Okay, so they've put the sentiment in the middle. Now they actually stamped the sentiments in Misty Moonlight. And if ever you're looking at a sample in any of our catalogues and you're trying to work out what the components are, one of the things that is given to us as demonstrators is a recipe, if you like, for each of the projects in the photographs. So it will tell me, for example, what colour cardstock has been used, what ribbon has been used, what colour inks have been used. So if ever you see something in the catalogue and either you can't quite work out what it should be, what it is, you know, is it designer series paper or has it been stamped, then do contact me or your local demonstrator and they can find out for you exactly what the recipe is and also the techniques. So I'm deliberating whether to put this in the middle or not. There we go. So we've got our May Your Days Be Merry and Bright in Evening Evergreen. And then they've got some greenery down here. So just going to add this in. Like so. Actually, they've used a 3 and a 2. So let's do the same, like that. And then they've added, coming in from the top, a 3 and a 2. So let's just have that one there like that. And one. As I say, this could be a really easy card to recreate. Leave the sentiment off, make half a dozen of them, and then just add the sentiment when you need to send the card, because it could be an anniversary, it could be birthday, it would even work for a sympathy card, I think. Okay, so now I've got this one with the little berries. I'm just going to stamp that, and then they've just got these coming in like so. This makes it a little bit more Christmassy, I would say. Like that. Let's have a little one coming in here, and then some coming up here and here. And sometimes when you come to make cards, especially if you've got to make them for a particular occasion, you can go completely blank. It happens to us all. Then my recommendation is, if you're struggling to come up with a design, then have a look in the catalogue and take your idea from the catalogue itself. Okay, it's there to be used and shared. And when we say we case something, although this means to some people it means one thing, so some people say it means copy and selectively edit, which means copy but change something. More typically these days, it's case stands for copy and share everything. So, you know, just basically share what you're creating. So this is the same panel, or a similar panel to the one in the catalogue, and that's going to go onto there. And I think that makes a really effective card. If I just bring that up a little bit, like so. So you could very easily change the sentiment for that. I'm just going to use my pen actually to fill those leaves in. I've got light soft sea foam, but you could easily stamp the inside with a colour. So I think what I might do is try my theory that you could make this a Christmas or a non-Christmas card. So what I'm going to do when I've done this is change the colours around completely and make it into a birthday card. So if you are looking for inspiration and ideas from the catalogue, don't dismiss any of the Christmas pages even when it's not Christmas, or the Easter pages, because there may be a design on there that you can recreate with whatever products you already have at home. Okay, just adding a little bit more in there for some depth, like so. There we go. So now I can pop that onto there, and I think that's really effective. You could add more detail in there. I might add a little bit of bling. I'm going to pop this up with some dimensionals. I have just a hand. Thank you, Kerry. Two. I'm just going to pop 5 on here, like so. And I might just add a little bit of bling you could die cut some holly leaves, and instead of having the plain leaves, oops, I've already done that one, you could add holly leaves instead. And this could go centrally, it could go slightly high. They've got it actually slightly off to the right, but because I've got a margin all the way around, I'm just going to put mine just very slightly high of centre, like so. Now if you were leaving the sentiment, then I wouldn't pop this up on dimensionals, because to try and stamp the sentiment onto there, what you could do is just use a die cut. So stamp onto your die cut and then pop that on top on a layer, so that would be really effective as well. So let's try out my theory, and that I can change this to be a birthday card or anything else, an anniversary card. I can make it into a thank you card. So let's see, I have got another base card somewhere under here. That's not a base card, that's a square card. Oh, I tidied it away, didn't I? Okay, let's just do that for a minute. Right, I really want to choose a different set of papers, because I don't want it to look like it's come from the Christmas papers. But obviously any of those you could also use, apart from the one with the holly, you could really use for birthdays. That would be particularly nice, although it's got a little bit of holly on, and also you've got the trees. So you could recreate that card in lots of different colourways for Christmas, and in fact that might be one of my new Christmas designs. So what I'm going to do is just grab some decorative paper to pop on there. Let's see what I've got to hand. I really want something quite contrasting to that. Let's see what I've got. Ding, ding. This is from The Bloom Where You're Planted. It's a bit the same colours, isn't it? Best laid plans. That would definitely work, wouldn't it? I think. Okay. Let's cut this one up. They could be gum nuts. I have no idea, Kerry, what gum nuts are. I'm really sorry. You'll have to explain to us here in the UK what a gum nut is. And what season do you have gum nuts? I wonder. Okay, so that's going to go onto there, so let's just pop that on again with some seal. You can have really vibrant backgrounds. You could stamp your own background as well, with balloons or something to make a nice birthday background. So just holding that off the card until I've got it in place, like so. Let's grab another white die cut. That's a different one, isn't it? It's slightly bigger. So the reason I'm choosing a smaller one is that I don't want to lose too much of that outside. Now, if you have that lovely stamp set that goes with this, then I would definitely stamp those leaves, because that would be really effective. But what I want to show you is that this stamp set could be used all year round. So let's do some more stamping, and as luck would have it, it is still Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent. Okay, just going to bring back this paper. So anybody watching with us here in the UK, I did post briefly last night, but it was quite late last night, that we have a one-day event starting, it actually starts tonight at 11 o'clock, and that is for free shipping. I was going to put a sentiment on first. Free shipping for any orders over £35. So if you need to open an order after 11 o'clock tonight, and any time up to 10:30 tomorrow evening, the 8th, you can place an order and your shipping will be free as soon as the £35 limit is reached. Right. I forgot what I'm looking for now. A sentiment. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So, Plentiful Plants is the stamp set that goes with these papers. So this would be perfect to use these elements. I'm actually going to use the thank you because it's the sentiment I want to pick out. Oh, a little note with the biggest thanks. Change of heart. It's still a thank you card though, isn't it? Okay, so let's take that sentiment out. I'll pop this one on. Oh, from the eucalyptus trees. Part of the flower of the tree have a hard casing. Ah. Okay. I didn't realise that. So what are they called? Gum nuts. Gum nuts. There we go. You learn something every day, don't you? Okay. So this is a little note with the biggest thanks, which again I'm going to pop in the middle. Now you could easily do, although I've cut the paper this way, you could easily do this card as a landscape card with your sentiment this way round and your foliage around the edge. So it would work. So make it work for you. So if you had a larger sentiment that needed to go that way round, then just turn the whole thing on its side. Okay, a little note with the biggest thanks. Great sentiment that. And then I'm going to do very similar to what we had. Maybe I should have put that a little bit further down, but never mind. Okay, that's that one. And I'm just making sure that the stalks go just off the edge to make it look more natural rather than them being placed there, like so. Okay, let's add this one in here. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to do the berries, but I'm going to do the berries in Soft Succulent. There we we go. Yeah, that will definitely work. Just grab that ink pad. There we go. So succulent. Well, I think it's one of the most popular colours at the moment. Okay. Just want to wipe that down. And get my bling at the ready. So, yes, cute. So just going to stamp these like so. And then just one little one here, like so. And I think I'm going to use the stars as well in the crumb cake. Why not? Just to fill in a little bit of the gaps. So there is a solid star and an open star. I like the solid when it's a small area and a light colour especially. I like the solid star. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have obviously an odd number 5. There we go, if you can see that. So exactly, almost exactly the same. Obviously my stamping's not quite exactly the same, but if I bring this one in, you can see just by changing, although I haven't really changed much of the colour obviously, you get a, you know, a different card. Glasses off. Just going to colour in these again. And in fact I'm just colouring in from the top to give a little bit of light and shade. There we go. So I can't believe we're at Tuesday evening already. So Tuesday is the day for my looking after my team. So I've been out with one of my team today. And so after here, I have a Facebook Live with the team to do our weekly updates. So just to let them know what's happening at Stampin' Up. Obviously everybody has access to the information on our demonstrator website, which is extremely extensive. But sometimes it's useful just to have a personal look at what the updates are this week, just to make sure everybody's understanding them. So they get to listen to me. Well, they may choose not to listen to me, of course. Okay, there we go. So exactly the same layout, but this is a non-Christmas card. For a minute I thought I put that paper on the wrong way around, like so. Pop that up with dimensionals again, if I can find them. And then add a little bit of bling, I think. Okay, so dimensionals were literally just here. Tell me if you can see them. because I can't. Oh, that's crazy. Does this happen to anybody else? I haven't even barely left my desk. Okay, let me get some more. Strange. Okay, these will do. And I do quite like these edges, these corners, because you can use them in your corners of your die cut as well. So definitely don't waste them. I tend to use them up from the middle first, unless I need some long thin ones, in which case I'll take them from the edges. Let's pop one in the middle just to support that, and there we go. So I didn't really change much of the colours, did I? It was my intention to make it look completely different, but hopefully you'll see where I'm coming from with that. So exactly the same layout, actually the same stamp set, just change the sentiment, change the papers. Let's pop some bling on. Saw some here a minute ago. So on this one I'm going to put some red, and I've got some mixed ones here. So that's another way of changing things up, is just change the colour of the bling. So these are our red rhinestones, perfect for Christmas, obviously. So 1, 2 and 3, like that. So just enough. I know you can't really, it's not really shining in this light this evening. And then for this one I've got shades of green, so I've got a deep green and then a sort of light bluey green, so I'm going to use those are from our holiday rhinestones. Actually I might just stick to the green, like so. There we go. So exactly the same design taken from the catalogue. One Christmas design, one non-Christmas. So Kerry said she got some magnets last week, put them in a drawer, now can't find them. Yes, I know that feeling. Now this is slightly bare here, so I'm thinking, what am I thinking? I think I'm going to put a star there, or a bit of bling, or a bit of both. I know I've got 5 stars, so just going to be careful. I'll try not to ruin it, because that is where my dimensional is. I'll get away with that. There we go. And then obviously for the inside of either of these, you could stamp some more of the leaves. So let's just do that in this bottom corner, just to finish it off. And you could add that to, thank you Tracy, you could add that obviously to the envelope as well. Like so. This is the non-Christmas version. Let's make sure I'm doing that right. Let's just add a tiny little bit of that ink. Don't want to put too much because I don't want it to show through to the back. There we go. So there's that one there. And then on this one I can stamp the leaves and the red dots, I think. So here we have Evening Evergreen. Let's put the dots in the middle, and obviously you could then stamp your Christmas sentiment, which I'll do just to finish this one off, and we're all done. And then I'll be back tomorrow with another design for this. And I have got an idea though what I want to show you on some gift wrapping, so I may do that tomorrow or I may do it Thursday night. Slightly undecided. There we go. And then again, just going to add a little bit. And I appreciate you can't see the detail of this in the slightest because it's too far away and it's too light. But let me see if I can bring it up to the screen, and we're done. Okay, so that's my inside for that one. Whoops, the daisy. Okay, with my Christmas, and I'll pop the sentiment on the inside, and then this one, a little note with the biggest thanks, and then that on the inside. Okay, thank you, Scott. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Kerry from Australia. It's always nice to have you join us, and anybody else who's watching who hasn't popped on to say hi, and also to everybody who watches on replay. So I hope you like those two designs of cards. As I say, I've taken the design idea straight from the catalogue. So if you are struggling with an idea and you have a stamp set or a particular colour or particular paper, use the catalogue. It always used to be called an ideas book and catalogue, and that's exactly what you should use it for. A lot of my customers keep their catalogues for ideas and inspiration. All I recommend when you do that is you put a big line across the front or a big sticker or something on it that says this catalogue is retired, because there's nothing more frustrating than coming to me 2 years after the catalogue's finished and saying, could I order this particular stamp set, just to find that it's no longer available. So do put some sort of note, there's my dimensionals, to say, and so this little offcut here, and I've got one for the other one, you could put on the inside, okay, if you wanted to. If I hadn't have stamped that, then I might have put that at the bottom. Okay, a little bit further up, but it looks a bit odd. I could have put it there and then stamped a little bit higher, okay, rather than waste that little piece. But there we go. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a good evening if you're here in Europe, and obviously a good day ahead for you, Kerry, and depending on what time you're watching this, the same to anybody else. So I will be back here Wednesday morning, that's the 8th of December at 10 AM UK time, and I will just be reminding you then about the free shipping offer. So any order over £35 qualifies for free shipping. The best thing to do is order online. Just go to jeminicraft.co.uk and then click on the right hand side. You'll see a link for the free shipping, or you can click on how to shop. That will take you there as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and do take care. Thanks for joining me. Look after yourselves, look after your loved ones, and I hope you keep crafting. Thank you. Bye for now.